My name is Michael Dahl, and I'll be discussing Starfleet's outlawing of genetic resequencing out of political paranoia, which halted the research and progression of transhumanism, creating fear and negative consequences for posthuman people, with no distinction between those who willingly went through the procedure and those who were unknowing children at the time of their treatment. I'll be using Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 16, Dr. Bashir, I presume, as the basis for this discussion. In this episode, it is revealed that the station's medical doctor, Dr. Julian Bashir, received accelerated critical neural pathway formation as a child, which is a DNA resequencing treatment that made him what we would call superhuman. He has a superior intellect, reflexes, vision, and hand-eye coordination, amongst many other qualities. This discovery leaves Bashir at risk from dismissal from Starfleet and possibly imprisonment.
Dr. Bashir, I presume? That's me. I'm Louis Zimmerman, Director of Holographic Imaging and Programming at the Jupiter Research Station, and I'm here to make you immortal.
That is a very bold claim made by Starfleet's Dr. Zimmerman, who has come to include Dr. Bashir in a medical technological advancement that would use his form as a model for a medical program, effectively making Bashir immortal. What Zimmerman does not yet know is that Bashir is a genetically enhanced person, which makes him a posthuman person, an advancement in and immediate example of transhumanism. What is transhumanism? Transhumanism is a global philosophical, literary, and scientific movement that advocates for enhancing human capabilities through the use of advanced technologies. A closely related concept is posthumanism, which envisions a future human form enhanced through technology, possessing capabilities beyond those of present-day humans. While transhumanism focuses more on the processes, emphasizing the traditional state of humans, posthumanism is less concerned with the processes and more focused on the results. But the term posthumanism should not imply that they are no longer human. In her book, The Posthuman, Rosie Braidotti asserts that the posthuman predicament is an opportunity to empower the pursuit of alternative schemes of thought, knowledge, and self-representation. What is genetic resequencing in Star Trek? Genetic resequencing in the world of Star Trek is formally called accelerated critical neural pathway formation. It's a 2-month-long treatment in which the patient's genetic structure is manipulated to accelerate growth of neural networks in the cerebral cortex. Braidotti outlines the current moral and ethical pitfalls of biogenetic technologies preceding posthumanism, saying that advanced capitalism perverses the form due to techno-military proliferation, exacerbation of global micro-conflicts, destructive environmental impacts, and the torture of animals being experimented on in all human-centric industries. Despite the absence of these components in the futuristic setting of DS9, genetic modification in humans was outlawed across Federation space 200 years prior, with the exceptions made only for repairing serious birth defects. So, why did the Federation outlaw it?
Isn't that a bit harsh?
I don't think so. 200 years ago, we tried to improve the species through DNA resequencing. And what did we get for our trouble? The eugenics wars. For every Julian Bashir that can be created, there's a Khan Singh waiting in the wings. A superhuman whose ambition and thirst for power have been enhanced along with his intellect. The law against genetic engineering provides a firewall against such men.
The Admiral was explaining to Bashir and his parents the reasoning that Starfleet upholds, that they don't allow this procedure to continue anymore. On Earth, between the years 2022 and 2056, a series of conflicts called the eugenics wars were a result of a scientific attempt to improve the human race through selective breeding and genetic engineering. This war caused approximately 35 million deaths, nearly plunging the planet into a new dark age. During the eugenics wars, one genetically enhanced person would take control of 40 of Earth's nations and make it his life's mission to disrupt the Federation's control. Khan Singh. He was considered so dangerous by Starfleet that he became the face of the reasoning behind the ban of accelerated critical neural pathway formation. Why did Bashir's parents take the risk? Before treatment, Bashir was physically smaller and intellectually behind his other peers. In this scene where he's admitting to being bioengineered, Bashir speaks resentfully about having the treatment done. He calls himself a freak and a monster. He knows the consequences of his past being revealed in an official report.
Look, I've got a lot at stake here. My whole career could be destroyed if Dr. Zimmerman gets wind of our little secret.
You've got a lot at stake. But what about us? We could go to prison, Jules. Have you ever thought about that?
Of course I've thought about that. That's why I want you to take this seriously.
When asked why no one in his life questioned his transformation, Bashir discloses that his family completely relocated after the procedure and that no one questioned the new star pupil because there's no stigma attached to success, meaning that his treatment made him a valued member of society. But as a posthuman person who's had to hide their identity and largely underplay their abilities as to not tip anyone off, he feels like a fraud. Additionally, to the social stigma that haunts them, there's always a looming threat of losing their professional stations and prison time. But do the people that know and work with Dr. Bashir feel fearful of him when they learn the truth? No. They fear the consequences he may face, but they never doubt his humanity or his personhood.
Despite what the authorities would like us to believe, genetic engineering is nothing to be ashamed of. You're not any less human than anyone else. In fact, you're a little more.
How does this conflict with the Federation's principles? Starfleet's principal functions include the advancement of Federation knowledge about the galaxy and its inhabitants, and knowledge of all areas of study, both scientific and non-scientific. And it's apparent that the Federation does not shy away from researching technology that reimagines and repurposes human form. Their exploration concerning their physicians illustrates a rapidly morphing image of doctors who are becoming less human and more technological and infallible. Dr. Zimmerman was going to make Dr. Bashir immortal by way of making a nearly perfect holographic replication of his physical form and his personality, his childhood memories, food preferences, music tastes, etc., in order to make the hologram not only an encyclopedia of medical knowledge, but they also want him to have a great bedside manner. Dr. Zimmerman used himself for the budding holographic technology in the form of the Emergency Medical Hologram, or EMH. Bashir's hologram would be the far more advanced version, a long-term medical hologram, or LMH. In this screen capture, Dr. Zimmerman and Dr. Bashir, with their respective hologram models, look identical. They can be touched, they can be talked to, and they're considered successfully built if they can have the same reactions and emotions as a human, but with highly advanced ability to perform medical duties, especially in dangerous places. The important distinction for the Federation between a medical program like Dr. Zimmerman's EMH or LMH and an above-average practitioner and researcher of medicine like Dr. Bashir is in control. You can turn off, erase, or reset a program, but a person can make a mistake, defect, or become dangerous. Making genetic resequencing illegal in Federation space has created a minority group of people who, if discovered, are at risk to lose their employment and be imprisoned even if they were children unknowingly being treated illicitly. To save Bashir's career, his father makes a deal with Starfleet to be imprisoned for 2 years.
We've just reached an agreement which will allow you to retain both your commission and your medical practice.
I'm going to prison.
Despite the social and technological advancements that Federation and Starfleet have made, the organization creates fear around the individuals they created instead of pushing to prevent the circumstances that caused the eugenic wars. Brododi asserts that the posthuman condition urges us to think critically and creatively about who and what we are actually in the process of becoming. Yet, the Federation punishes those seeking treatment, not to undermine their power, but to be more involved in the human experience and pushing the species forward.